Back in Alan's day, it was a man's world. But now, times have changed.
When I was a little kid, I used to play with Hot Wheel cars instead of dolls like any normal girl.
Terrain Tamer is looking for parts specialists to train up. And Alan Gray is the toughest trainer around.
Wow, look at the cat dragged in.
Can Alan leave his old school thinking behind?
Yeah, so we've got to get some overalls with bumps in them.
Can these girls prove that when it comes to the tools, they're as capable as any bloke? Tune in to find out. First on today's agenda is a lesson on viscous couplings. A viscous coupling drives the fan to reduce engine heat in the most fuel-efficient manner.
Well, I want to talk about visco couplings. When would you replace a visco coupling?
When there's play.
When there's play like that? What else? Any
When
other
it's
reason?
loose or broken.
When it's loose or broken. What about if it's not working and it's the motor's getting hot?
It's pretty good.
Pretty good reason? Okay, what's a visco? Why don't they have a fixed fan instead of visco fans? So
Lock in and out? Like when it's
yeah,
needed?
so it can come on and off when it feels like, depending on the heat of the motor. But they require air going through the radiator, heating up the centre spring on there. I'll show you one in a minute. But first of all, while this motor's nice and warm, I want you to show you how to check them without any problems at all. I'm going to start the motor up. Just keep an eye on the fan.
Alan wants to test whether the fan stops spinning when the engine is turned off.
So, what happened?
It stopped.
Okay, mind your fingers again.
If it does, then it's being driven properly.
It stopped
Stop
again.
then, okay. Now, you might think that it's gone half a turn or a bit of a turn. Don't worry about that. If it's faulty, it will be still spinning now almost, okay? Now, I've just got to explain, when you start a car first thing in the morning, it'll be sometimes locked up. That's because, and I'll get a viscostatic coupling for a minute. That's a viscostatic, that's what we're looking at, except the fan blades are bolted onto that. All the silicon oil is actually dropped down to the bottom, and inside is a vein, 2 veins. Now, the oil is it's driving because the oil's down there. As you rev the motor up, you back your car out of a garage, it starts to throw the oil out centrifugally, and instead of the fan, you can hear it buzzing away. All of a sudden, the fan noise will die right away, and it's freewheeling. That's the way it's going to be until it gets hot. If you were to turn the motor off then, the fan would continue to run. Not first thing in the morning, because it's got this problem with the silicon oil dropping down. See that spring in the middle there? As that spring heats up because of air coming through the radiator, it actually makes that spring get longer, and it turns that vein on the inside, and it makes the oil go a different way. So it then becomes tighter and tighter and tighter until it gets hotter and hotter, and it's starting to drive not quite locked up. Okay, so we just tried that. We found out that it stops when the motor stops, so it's okay, the motor's hot, that's what it's expected to do. If it keeps going, it keeps going, 2 or 3 times, that's out, okay? And to change it, you just undo those 4 bolts. There is a special spanner to hold all that, but you can put a big screwdriver in there.
Due to the excess play of the viscous coupling, the girls are going to swap it out for a new one.
Do we have to take the cover off to get the viscous coupling out, or do we have to, can we get it out without it?
Sometimes you can, sometimes you can't. What we'll do is undo it first, and then if we got to, but sometimes you can actually wriggle it out there. Okay, we want a 12mm spanner, and maybe a long screwdriver to stop that turning. Okay, try them apples. Bit of a funny angle, I can fix it if that's a bother.
Thank you.
That blood or lipstick you got on your fingernails? Watch when you're doing that you don't bash your elbow to death on something sharp, think what's going to happen if it comes, It's like when you're working up against a vice, if you slip with an axle, you're going to cut your foot off.
Eventually, the girls manage to get the viscous coupling and fan out. And now, it's time to replace the viscous coupling. They attach the same fan to the new viscous coupling, ready to reinstall it.
Yeah, so keep in mind that turning the fan over, if you find a fan on back to front, it's very important, but it still will suck air. While you've got this off, of course, you've checked all the pulleys to make sure they're okay. Excellenzio.
The next topic on today's agenda is the alternator. The alternator keeps the battery charged and powers the electrical system in a vehicle.
They're getting a bit smaller, any reason? The inside that spins hasn't got any wires on it these days. Years ago they had wires, and they used to throw apart if you spun them too fast. So now they can put smaller pulleys. The Terrain Tamer have got these new range of alternators and starter motors, and what do you think with an alternator can go wrong?
Demagnetise?
Not so much these days, but yeah, good thought.
get water or mud in them?
Yeah, mud, not water. Water so is not too bad, but grit and
Like sand.
yeah, following cars through, trucks through rivers and things. What else can go wrong?
They don't charge.
Yeah, they can stop working, of course. They can also fall off. You know, the bolts can come loose and they tend to put up a bit of vibration. Okay, so how would you go about testing them for operation?
Using a multimeter.
How would you go about using a multimeter?
Check if they're got the right voltage.
What would be the right voltage?
It varies, doesn't it?
Yeah, I guess it depends on whether it's a 12-volt car, which it
Or a
probably is,
20 volt.
or a 24-volt in your case. On the car, it's just a little bit hard sometimes to test them. If you took them off the car, you'd want a $10,000 test rig to try all this, you know, whether it's got internal short. But on the vehicle, all we do with the multimeter is make sure that at all times, stationary, turned off, sitting in the garage, it has battery voltage at that main terminal. And when you talk about battery voltage, we would put a meter between that and the battery and check that it had no voltage drop at all, maybe 1/10 of a volt. That's an alternator. What about this great hulking thing over here?
Starter motor.
Yeah, why is it such a big looking thing like that? Any reason?
Because it's got to have the power to turn the engine
How does it get power to turn the engine?
from the battery.
Yeah, but what makes it more powerful? Well, how have they worked out this one to be more powerful?
It's got an electromagnetic winding. It's got windings and a.
This has got a gear down reduction in it.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's the starter motor up there, and they've done a gear reduction down here. So they can spin this very fast, have a gear down reduction, and give you lots of power out here. Okay, so how can we test that the starter motor's doing its job?
You can try and start it.
Try and start it, yeah, so it won't start, or it's slow to start. So let's say it's slow to start. What would you be looking for?
If it's got a voltage drop, to see if it's actually the leads or anything going to the starter motor.
I suppose to allow this to do its job, it needs full battery voltage.
Yep.
So you can check that. Alternators and starter motors, about 70% of units pack up and get faulty because of low battery voltage. If you only give this 10 volts, it's going to draw a lot more current and it's going to burn out. Train Tamer market these alternator and starter motors. There's a particular unusual thing with this, I haven't come across it before, but with every starter motor, you actually get a test certificate to tell you what current it drew, how noisy it was, the whole range of things with a couple of safety things as well. So that's pretty good and quite comforting and to know that you've got an individual test on your unit. Okay, so having a look at those, let's move over to this vehicle and we'll put a multimeter and test that. And you guys are going to do it, all right?
Okay.
Yep.
So what I want you to do, we're going to do a test on the lead going down to the starter motor. But first of all, I want to know what the battery drops to when we put a load on it. So if you put the probes on that there and just read, what are we reading at the moment?
12.8.
12.8, exactly 12.8,
12.83.
Keep an eye. Well, come on, what is it?
83.
It's enough to kill a person.
Okay.
Right, I'll do a test on it. Just keep that down there. Keep an eye on it. That's all you're going to get.
I think the lowest was 8.4.
8.4.
Put it on 2 volts. And can you go earth to earth? Scratch it in hard there. You won't get anything at the moment. I'll turn the headlights on or something just to see what happens. You getting anything?
0.002.
Just keep an eye on that for a minute. Watch it. What did you get?
0.130.
0.13. For every metre of wire, you're allowed 1/10 of a volt, 0.1, okay? For every bolted connection, you're allowed 0.1. Every spring-loaded connection, you're allowed 0.2. So that's pretty good. What you just checked in is the earth from there to the body, to the engine, right through all that. So that's pretty good. So now you're going to go underneath and hold that red lead onto the lead of the starter motor, and you're going to hold it onto the earth, okay? I'll turn it over. You ready to read?
Yeah.
That's all you're going to get.
6.6.
6.6?
Yep.
Okay, so how many volts drop we got? 2 volts? Around 2? Okay, so we've got to add up all the connections. Maybe there's 1, 2, 2/10. Yeah, it's not enough, is it? What do you reckon? We're asking a 12-volt starter motor to run on how many volts? Yeah?
6.
Okay, so we're only giving it 6 volts.
Okay.
Not very fair, is it?
No.
Okay, so that in this case, if we're looking for trouble, we're slow, sluggish start, slow turnover, we've got to now look at the terminals, solenoid terminals. So it's very important to have a multimeter first, know how to use it, and understand what is allowable in voltage drop.
Now, the girls test the voltage of the alternator. It takes a while to find the connection on the end of the alternator, as it's in a pretty difficult spot to get to.
There you go. So we'll keep it still. Okay, well, what are you reading there?
12.8.
The next step is to check the voltage of the battery, to see whether there is any drop in voltage between the alternator and the battery.
Hey, what do you reckon? Is that a good or bad connection? Good connection, 12.8.
That brings the electrical lesson to an end, and it also brings the whole apprentice series to an end.
Okay, Molly and Lakara, thanks very much for the time you've spent with us. We consider you one of us now, so as you go on with your careers and head out there in the big wide world, hopefully there's a few things that you can take with you on your journey. So,
Thank you, I really appreciate it. It's been a wonderful experience and I know that I've enjoyed every moment of it, so thank you very much, I really appreciate it.
no worries.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Okay, don't be strangers and we'll see you out there. All right, thanks,
you.
ladies.
Well, I've apprenticed probably 40 apprentices in my time, and I think I've had more fun and experience and feedback from you girls than I've had with a lot of kids that I've had, and really appreciate it. Guys as old as me can change their views from time to time, and I just give you a hug. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
All the best. Thank you. Yep, on your way.
That was ridiculous, I couldn't even stop.
It's like Gone with the Wind.
Behind the screen.
Come here.
I really enjoyed myself at Terrain Tamer this week. It's been a challenging week, but a good experience.
It's changed my mind about a lot of things and brought me up to date with employment of females in the workplace. I reckon it's great.
After this experience and working at Terrain Tamer with Al, I'm more excited about my future and I know this is what I want to do.
I never thought I'd be doing this, I can tell you. I don't know why, but they got to me a bit.
All across Australia, Terrain Tamer have you connected.